Thank you for joining us tonight for Community Conversations about Vaccines. This event is organized by the Massachusetts chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics and Team Maureen with our partners, the Martha's Vineyard Vaccine Task Force and Health Imperatives on Nantucket, and with the generous support of Cape Cod Healthcare and the MCAAP. I'm Kelly Welch. I'm the Executive Director of Team Maureen. We're a nonprofit located in Falmouth, dedicated to ending cervical cancer by educating about the connection between HPV and cancer and the importance of prevention through vaccination and early detection of cancer through regular screenings. You'll hear from our founder, Eileen Lind, in a little bit, and she will share more information about the founding of Team Maureen. But today's agenda in general will include two personal stories, one from Claudine Ryder of Pocasset, one from Eileen Lind, and then a presentation from Dr. Rick Moriarty on vaccines, followed by breakout groups where you can have local providers answer your questions based on your region. Our hosts today are Cynthia McReynolds from MCAAP and myself, and if you have any issues, you can reach out to us through the chat and we'll help you out. And then our two personal stories from Claudine Ryder and Eileen Lind, both residents of the Cape, followed by Rick Moriarty of UMass Medical and the MCAAP. And we just want to give a shout out and a thank you to our interpreters tonight from Communication Ambassador Partnership, or CAP, on Martha's Vineyard. We have Sasha and Dora tonight sharing the responsibility for the simultaneous interpretation. Thank you so much for being here. So we're going to introduce Claudine Ryder and have her personal story about her experience with COVID. Claudine's a Cape native. She currently lives in Pocasset with her husband and her two beautiful daughters. She's the founder and owner of Pocasset Pretzel and is also a realtor at Cape Realty. She's a passionate health advocate telling her story about BRCA1 genes and now about COVID in the hopes of helping others. And we're thrilled that she's able to share her story with us.
Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Claudine Ryder, and I am honored to be part of this event. COVID for sure hits home to me for many personal reasons, and the vaccine has certainly made an impact on these reasons. Last March, I was one of the first in Barnstable County to be admitted to Falmouth Hospital, where I spent 9 days. I was a 44-year-old healthy woman with no underlying conditions. And I was admitted after 5 days of feeling what I thought was the worst flu, only to find out that I had double COVID pneumonia and fighting for my life for 2 of those 9 days were by far the scariest moments I never want to live again. Right now. I was away from my family, I was away from my friends, and I was scared of the unknown. Nurses and doctors at Falmouth Hospital saved me, and I am so forever thankful for that. I battled COVID-19, double pneumonia, and sepsis. On March 30th, I was released from Falmouth Hospital, home to my 2 beautiful daughters and my husband. And even at that time, I wasn't able to share a hug with them. I was then isolated from them for another week. And that was the time I needed a hug the most. I am here today to share with you that it doesn't discriminate. It wasn't for senior citizens. It wasn't for the sick. I was a 44-year-old healthy woman that was sidetracked by a horrific disease. And living through those next few months, knowing what I was seeing other people go through, what my elderly parents were watching. I lost an uncle to COVID. I saw friends suffer from COVID. living that was unexplainable. When the COVID vaccine came out, I know there were so many mixed emotions. It was a new vaccine. There wasn't research. My husband was first to get the vaccine prior to me because he was a first responder. He is a first responder. And I waited because I wanted to do what I could to fight this, and I donated convalescent plasma. But when it became my time to donate, when it became my time to get the vaccine, I was there. When it became time for some of our elderly friends and neighbors to get the vaccine, I was there to make that appointment and take them. I was so proud to see them be part of this. I was so proud to see them earn some freedom back in their lives. And I know there's so many uncertainties, but let me tell you, the uncertainty that I had lying in that hospital, fighting to breathe and not seeing my family, the uncertainty that my family had, not knowing what my outcome was going to be, was very, very scary. So I now have vaccinated my 14 and 16-year-old daughters. My husband's vaccinated. My parents are vaccinated. And so many of my friends and family have been vaccinated. I don't pass judgment on those that are not choosing to become vaccinated. But what I would like to do, if anything, is just be there if anyone has any questions or concerns about COVID, about the vaccine, from a survivor, also a long hauler, from a family who's been affected by it, and as a parent. I understand your concerns, but we need to trust the professionals. We need to trust the doctors. We need to go beyond this pandemic, and we need to protect everybody around us. COVID is a scary thing, and I know the unknown is scary, but we need to come together and we need to fight this. And we don't want to fight it alone. And again, I'm honored to be here. I'm honored for Team Maureen to invite me to share my story. And I hope even if it helps just one family or one person, I know I would have made a difference in the fight. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Claudine for sharing her story with us. I apologize that it got off to a rocky start, but we're going to move right into another personal story. This one is from Eileen Lind. Eileen's a pediatric oncology nurse at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, and she lives in North Falmouth with her husband and 2 daughters. She founded Team Maureen in 2006 when her sister passed away of cervical cancer, and she wanted to educate others about the connection between HPV and cancer and prevention. Her work in cancer prevention has been widely recognized with awards and publications, and we're honored to have her share a brief introduction of a video with us tonight.
Thanks, Kelly. So I'll be short because the video should speak more than I can do. So I started Team Maureen, and as Kelly said, in honor of my sister who passed away from cervical cancer at the age of 37. She had relapsed 3 years later after initial treatment with chemotherapy, radiation, and a radical hysterectomy. It has been December 15 years that she's been gone, and there still isn't a day I don't think of her multiple times. We first started doing some fundraising with the Pan Mass Challenge, doing a biking team. We raised money for relapsed cervical cancer. It was very helpful. We worked through some grief, but as years went on, I felt as a nurse practitioner that I could do more by educating and getting awareness out about cervical cancer prevention. And so that was the first steps of how Team Maureen, the nonprofit, started. Team Maureen is very happy to be involved with tonight's educational event and getting people the most up-to-date and accurate information about vaccination. Therefore, that they can make the best decisions yourself for your children and for family members. The film that we'll be showing is about my sister's personal story. I think it's always important as we do education that we always add a personal story to what we're trying to prevent or get the word out in regards to actionable things that we can do. So this film, unfortunately, the vaccine was not available when my sister passed. Essentially, the year she passed is when it came out. So I often wonder if it was years before, if we were to get that, if she would have be here today and have a different outcome. As no one really at this point should lose a sister, a mother, or friend to a preventable cancer like cervical cancer. So ultimately, this is why we do our work, is if we can prevent other people from suffering, just as in COVID and cervical cancer and 5 other cancers. We recommend people to get vaccinated, again, in that if they have the most up-to-date information to make the decision that is best for them and their family. So Kelly's just going to show a video about my sister.
When we were little, my big sister Maureen wasn't allowed to go on sleepovers because I couldn't go. She used to be angry and say, "I'm home, but I'm not going to talk to you." I would just think, well, that's fine, you're home, that's all that matters. Maureen loved whoopie pies and making s'mores with her kids, and fudgicles. Clue was her favorite game. She not only knew the cards in the secret envelope, but also everyone's cards. I don't know how she did it, but if it was an Olympic sport, she'd have the gold. Look at all these awful pictures. Our hairstyle, sweaters, our faux fur, just ridiculous. We thought we were so cool back then. What were we thinking? On Tuesday, we'd call each other and watch American Idol together and laugh hysterically at the auditions. Today, no matter what the news, how big or small, she's the first person I want to call, and I still find myself reaching for the phone to call her. The silly, sad, funny, heartbreaking, mundane details that make a life. In the way she was the glue that held our family together. All part of who she was and who I became because of her. Having an older sister shapes every part of you, from how you dress, to what you think is cool, to which boys you really like. Your sister is the first person you love just for themselves. She's the way you learn about unconditional love, the kind of love that is an action, not just a feeling. I want to look at these photos together with her and laugh at ourselves. It makes me angry that I can't. Maureen was an amazing gymnast. She had a lot of personality, the way she didn't hold back on anything, especially her laugh. I still can hear it. Her strength and her absolute grace was seen in her gymnastics, and she maintained it through her courageous fight with her cancer, even to the end. She married her high school sweetheart. I remember at the very beginning how much I hated him, as he stole her away from me. Maureen's wedding dress had puffy sleeves, lace at the neck and along the bottom. She looked perfect, a grown-up version of her first communion. I was her maid of honor, she was mine. The give and take of our relationship was more natural than breathing. On her dying bed, she asked me 2 things: to take care of her kids and to not forget her. She also asked me to make sure her daughter would get the HPV vaccine so she wouldn't get cervical cancer. She was also determined for us to finish her scrapbooks for each of her children. I typed her last message because at the age of 37, she was unable to write. After she died, I had a second daughter. I named her Maureen, of course after her. When I told her I was going to name Maureen, she asked why. It's an awful name, but I loved it. I can see Maureen all in my little Maureen. In the way her giggle gets trapped in my soul. I find myself looking at my 2 girls, even in the simplest moments, maybe especially in the simplest moments. They're making this everlasting, incredible bond that they will have forever. It brings me back to my childhood, back to my sister and our memories. Imagining, if only for a moment, that she is home and just not talking to me.